Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Nike A1. So this is A'ja Wilson's first signature shoe with Nike, and if you guys didn't know, Ben is actually the designer of this shoe, and he also designed the Kyrie Nike shoe line, starting from the Kyrie 4. He is a really good designer, yeah, and also he just look at this shoe. It is amazing as far as the aesthetics go. I feel like this is one of the best looking hoop shoes that you can get right now. This colorway looks great. There's a new colorway that just came out, but it is sold out unfortunately. But freaking Nike, all their shoes that's on the website, they increased the price by at least $5. So this shoe used to retail for $110 when it first came out, but now all the colorways are $115. So that kind of sucks. It's still a budget model pricing, which I think is good, but you know, they still increased the price, which sucks. But if you guys do want to cop, try to leave in the free link in the description box. This colorway is still available. This is the Pearl colorway. In my personal opinion, this is the best looking colorway to come out so far. And if you do choose to get this shoe, it does help me out if you buy it through the free link in the description box. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. And also, my socks are available. It's called Young Hone. I try to make a multi-purpose sock, so a sock that you can be very comfortable in. It actually has a lot more padding than like a normal sock, but also has less padding than a basketball sock, because I feel like, you know, wearing a basketball sock casually it has a little bit too much padding. So I try to get the sweet spot so it feels nice when I'm working out, going out casually, and also hooping. So a link to that will be in the description box as well. But let's get it started right off with the Tracciones. And in this colorway, we have a solid white rubber outsole. I also do have the blue colorway as well. And we also have like a curved line, right? And it's also serrated as far as the traction pattern goes. We also have a Nike swoosh here, and then her logo like at the bottom of the swoosh. But how does the traction perform? It performs really freaking well. I didn't have to break it in at all. It was good right out the box. And when you're playing on a clean court, you have an amazing bite. You stop pretty much on a dime and stops just as hard as all the other shoes that have top tier traction. So if you're playing on a clean court, you don't have to worry about the shoe at all. Also, this shoe has a very nice loud high-pitched squeak, which of course has nothing to do with performance, but yeah, this shoe has a really loud squeak, just like, you know, the Sabrina 2. So I feel like the Sabrina 2 is maybe a little bit louder, a little bit more high-pitched, but this shoe still has a very loud squeak as well, which I like. And also, if you are playing on a dusty court, it actually does perform pretty dang well. So if you're playing on a lightly dusty court, you should be fine. It bites through dust pretty dang well, and also it doesn't pick up dust too quickly. And you know, if it does pick up that dust, even on a slightly dusty court, you just do a very easy wipe, and I was good to go. I still had really good stops, right? Once I started playing on like a dustier setting, you know, a really dusty court or a moderately dusty court, it did start to pick up dust a little bit, but it would just slide around. You know what I mean? And it wasn't anything dangerous. And also, again, it didn't pick up dust that quickly either, but still did pick up that dust. And then, you know, I just do an easy slight wipe or two, and I was good to go again. And I had really good stops. So it does pick up a little bit of dust, but easy wipe. And once you do wipe, you have really good stops again, and it doesn't pick up dust that quickly either. So dust performance is still really good. And also, as far as like the durability goes, however, I don't think it'll be that good. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no crazy fraying. I guess like right where the ball, oh yeah, that's actually kind of bad, you know, where the ball of my foot is. I also didn't really play in these outside, just on the indoor court, so it seems to be fraying a little bit there. But also the rubber is actually like not super hard, and the grooves are really deep, and also the grooves are really thin. So for durability, I definitely feel like it won't be that good, especially if you're playing on an outdoor court. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing in the shoe because the traction is pretty much top tier. And now moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall pretty dang smooth, and also kind of springy feeling, which I do like, which is a huge departure from a lot of the Nike shoes that are out right now. So as far as the heel goes, we have a nice curved shape and also fully exposed midsole, right? And we do have a Cushlon midsole, and it's pretty dang soft. It doesn't have a crazy amount of compression, but it feels smooth and soft here in the heel when you're doing heel dominant strides. Coming into the forefoot, we got a nice curved shape. So overall shape does feel smooth, and also we do have a good amount of forefoot flex, right? And it is able to flex, but not super easily, right? I can't really even do it with one finger, but also it has a nice kind of like springy feel, which is really nice. And also it feels like it has pretty good torsional support, right? So it has a nice kind of like it's still like flexible, but it still has like a springier feel. A little bit more of like a sturdier, supportive feel underneath your foot. Comparing it to, you know, like the Sabrina 2. Sabrina 2, again, like super duper easy to flex. Like look at that, right? Same thing with the Jaw 2, right? Jaw 2 flexes like really easily too. And then Luka 4 is the easiest of them all. Look at this. Right, so yeah, it has more of a stiffer feel, springier feel, which I think I like a little bit better. You know, it's not overly stiff or anything like that, which I don't like, but it feels a little bit springier than these shoes, which is a good thing. Of course, it all depends on what you like. If you like a, you know, softer feel, then obviously these are a little bit better. But I feel like for A'ja Wilson, you know, and her play style, this is obviously a better choice for her. So there's a heel to toe transition. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup is really freaking nice, especially for $115. So they are using Cushlon. And again, it's not anything amazing, you know what I mean? It's not like top tier in my personal opinion, but it's really nice for the price, right? So yeah, here in the heel, again, it's not a crazy amount of compression, but it still is pretty soft, so that feels comfortable. But the main thing that I really liked about this cushioning setup is the underfoot cushion, right? So once I started playing in it and breaking it in, it started to get a little bit softer, right? And softer and softer, and definitely has a softer feel than, like, you know, the Sabrina 2, the Jaw 2, and the Luka 4, because it's a little bit higher up off the ground, right? So all of these shoes, right, the Luka 4, Jaw 2, and Sabrina 2, they all have really good core feel, right? Amazing core feel. You're really low to the ground. The A1 is a little bit higher up off the ground, but still has good core feel, right? And I feel like, you know, Nike, or I guess Ben, when he was designing the shoe, he wanted something probably a little bit thicker, you know what I mean, for A'ja Wilson. And I feel like even if you're a guard though, it's still not bad for core feel. It still has good core feel, right? But the thing is, when I was playing and when I started to play, it has a really nice subtle softness to it, which makes it really comfortable and plush. You know, it's not overly soft. It's not mushy feeling at all. It's just like comfortable and has just the right amount of like impact protection and softness to the point where it still feels responsive, you know what I mean? So it does everything like pretty dang well. But as far as like bounce goes, it's not super bouncy. So if you like bounce, then this definitely isn't the best option. But if you're looking for a, you know, great overall cushioning setup that has, you know, pretty good core feel, nice heel compression, and something that's really soft for the underfoot cushion and also step in comfort, then the A1 is a really nice option, right? And again, it's softer and more comfortable than these shoes, obviously because it is a thicker cushioning setup, right? So there is the cushion there. Moving on to the upper. So the upper also is pretty dang nice. It broke in really nicely, right? So look at this. It's really soft now. When I first got it, it was on the stiffer side of things. You know what I mean? Definitely had a more supportive feel, but now that it's broken in, it's really freaking, look at this. Very soft material, but also still like a sturdy, supportive feel, right? Comparing it to, you know, like the Lukas. Lukas are just, look at that, it just kind of, it's a really soft material, but with the A1, it still conforms to your foot extremely well, especially when you break it in, but still has like a really like supportive shell feel, you know, but it still has a little bit more of a like a thicker feel and also like cozier feel than like the, you know, all of these shoes, you know what I mean, the Sabrina 2, the Jaw 2, and the Luka 4s, where you know, these shoes are a lot like thinner, not as cozy, and also not as stiff, you know what I mean? So I actually really liked it, you know, had a really nice feel to it, and again, a more cozier feel. Also here in the midfoot, it stays pretty like glued down and supportive. It has a really nice structural rigidity to it. Also for the tongue is okay. It has like an average amount of padding, not super nice. And it's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And also here in the ankle area, it's around average as well for the padding, you know, but it is thicker than all of Nike's like kind of like guard shoes, you know what I mean? So it feels a little bit cozier as well here in the back of the shoe. One thing, however, is that the upper doesn't, I mean, it's not that it's not durable feeling, but I don't know, like there's a lot of crease marks. I mean, first of all, it does get pretty dang dirty. I don't know, especially here in the back. You know what I mean? But also like, look at the swoosh. The swoosh is kind of messed up, you know what I mean? So and also with this material, like this mesh material, it is a screen mesh over like another material, probably like a textile, but like I didn't expect it to have so much creasing. You know, I mean, obviously that has nothing to do with performance, but if you don't like that, then probably this isn't the best option, you know what I mean? But overall, like, how does it feel on foot? I really like it. You know, it has a more supportive, cozier feel as opposed to, you know, the Nike guard shoes that are just really thin, very minimal, and very soft, you know what I mean? And also, I would say it has a little bit more of like a more like durable feel as well. You know, especially comparing it to the Luka 4s with this kind of like really thin textile, you know, it's kind of cheap feeling, especially on the medial side. So I do appreciate that too. So there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So I went true to size, or I guess like true to my Nike size. All the Nike's hoop shoes for me have been fitting a little bit short. So I've been going up half a size for all my hoop shoes. And I went, you know, true to my Nike size, you know, in all of these, right? So I went the same exact size here in the Sabrina 2 as I did here in the A1. And the A1 definitely, I would say, is the snuggest fit. I went true to size with the Luka 4s, and it's still like not even as snug as the A1, probably because it has a little bit less forgiveness, you know what I mean? It's not super stretchy either, especially comparing it to like, you know, the Jaw 2. This mesh material is really soft and forgiving, and also the Lukas, and also the Sabrina 2. So, you know, probably because of that, but also like it is a really freaking snug fit, right? And again, I went the same exact size in both of these shoes, and these are narrower, right? Has a very narrow fit, especially where my big toe is. My big toe is also kind of like being scrunched up. Usually if it's a narrow fit, only my pinky toe is kind of like being squeezed, right? But also my big toe is being squeezed, so it's a really narrow fit. Also here in the toe box, it's really freaking snug. You know, once I broke it in, it did get a little bit looser, you know, a little bit roomier here in the toe box. Like when I first got it, it was a little uncomfortable, you know, not painful, but just uncomfortable. But after like a day or two of playing in this shoe, it actually, you know, it didn't really bother me too much when I was hooping in it. But also, I can't really wear these casually because it is just a snug fit. You know, I can only hoop in it. You know, when I'm hooping, I like to have a really snug fit in my hoop shoes, right? Lengthwise, I'm good to go though, you know? So, yeah, just be careful. If you know what size you are here in the Sabrina 2 and you want a really snug fit, then go the exact same size. But if you want it to be a little bit looser, or maybe you just have like a normal size foot, and you know, this is a really snug fit, then I'll probably suggest going up half a size from whatever size you got here in the Sabrina 2s, right? For me, I'm fine. You know, again, I like a really snug fit. I just need to break it in, and I really like the fit now. It's still a little bit narrower than I would like, but not bad, right? So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. Yeah, this shoe is extremely supportive, especially for how lightweight, you know, the shoe feels. And also this material, like the upper isn't like, it's not bulky at all, but has a more like supportive feeling, you know what I mean, comparing it to all these shoes, you know? So yeah, as far as lateral containment goes, my foot was not coming out of the footbed at all. You know, here in the forefoot, we got this is actually rubber, so that comes up acting as a sidewall. We do have the foam and also this swoosh, which stiffens up the upper as well, and an internal TPU heel counter, and it's a really like sturdy upper. Look at this, you know, but compared to Luka's, you know, you know what I mean? Like this shoe is just the upper. Somehow it still has adequate support. You know what I mean? But you know, the A1 has a lot more support than the Luka 4s, as well as like the Jaw 2s. You know, Jaw 2s also not the most supportive feeling upper, you know, but again, was adequate for me. So yeah, lateral containment was good for me. Also, lateral stability was good too. You know, we have a wide base. We have a little bit of an outrigger as well, so that was fine. And I had zero issues with heel slippage or anything like that. So yeah. It's just a different feel. It has kind of like a similar feel as far as like the upper thickness goes, although you know, like the Luka 4, Jaw 2, and Sabrina 2 are like a little bit thinner, but it's just like the upper is a little bit stiffer, and also the, you know, the sole of the shoe is stiffer, so it has a more supportive, sturdier feel from the shoe, which of course it's not good or bad, it just depends on what you like, right? But I did like the A1, and I feel like I like this type of feel a little bit better than a shoe that's just a little bit more like flexible. I feel like, you know, for me the Luka 4 is a little bit too much at times, even though I don't mind it, you know, but the A1, I feel like it has a little bit more of a supportive feel to me when I'm playing it, which I do like. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. This shoe is also pretty dang light. Comes in at 12 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 12.25 ounces, so that's a little bit lighter than the average. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. I feel like it's the heaviest out of all of these though. The Sabrina 2 is the lightest, 10.95. The Jaw 2 also 11.05, and the Luka 4 is 11.1 ounces, right? So yeah, the A1 definitely is heavier. It's an ounce heavier than pretty much all these, like average, right? But again, it has a more sturdy, supportive feel if you like that. And also 12 ounces is still like really lightweight. And I feel like they did a really good job in providing a supportive shoe for a lightweight package, which still has good court feel, but still the cushion is soft and comfortable, you know what I mean? So I feel like they did a really good job if you're into more like that supportive, sturdier feel, you know? Again, if you're more like a flexible, nimble shoe type of guy, then probably these shoes are a little bit better, but still this is nice, right? So there is a weight there. Moving on to the ventilation, nope, this shoe is actually pretty hot. There's really no airflow through this material, and also there is an underlaying material as well underneath all this, because, you know, again, the tongue is a half wood construction tongue, so this textile material goes underneath this entire upper as well, right? So yeah, it's a little bit warm actually. So there's the ventilation there. Moving on to the aesthetics, amazing. This shoe looks so good. I guess the only thing is that it doesn't look good when you play in it though. It just looks so used and dirty and crappy. I don't know, like just the crease mark. Maybe also because this is a white shoe, and white shoes obviously it gets really dirty, especially here in the back of the shoe. I don't know if it's coming out on camera though, but yeah. And also with this swoosh, I don't know what I did to do that, but oh my goodness, it's only on the right shoe too. The left shoe, it looks fine to me for the swoosh, but yeah, aesthetically though, it looks really, really good. I love the design. It's one of the best looking hoop shoes that you can get right now in my personal opinion. Again, but it just looks really used after you play it, you know what I mean? So there's the aesthetics there. Now wrapping things up. Yeah, this shoe is freaking nice. And again, like I feel like most people will really enjoy this shoe, especially for the price, 115 bucks. It has really good support. You know, that's one thing that this shoe does really well, but it still has nice cushion. It's not amazing, it's not top tier cushion, but still a pretty dang nice, something that I enjoyed. It's comfortable and soft underfoot still. Traction is top tier, you know, it's still a lightweight shoe. And yeah, again, you know, all these shoes, I really like how it's different though, you know what I mean? Because again, all three of these shoes have a really similar, flexible, nimble feel, which is just a little bit different, right? But the A1 just took a different route, and obviously that route being that more, you know, stiff, supportive feel, even though it's not overly stiff or anything like that. And I feel like it's a really good kind of like sweet spot for most people. This is really nimble. I feel like this is a really good soft, sweet spot, you know? It's still like kind of like a supportive feel, has a nice flex still, and then something like the A1 would be like a really stiff feel, you know what I mean? So yeah, the A1 I really enjoyed. If you're a guard, really, really nice shoe. Again, it is a snug fit though, so just be careful with that. And also, if you're a bigger dude who needs support, but you want something a little bit, you know, like a low top, but also something a little bit lighter, then this shoe also is a really nice option. So yeah, a really, really nice performer. I loved playing in this shoe. I enjoyed playing in this shoe as well, and it definitely is a top tier performer for me. So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Nike A1. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave in the feed link in the description box, but that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.